Philosophy of Education. Unit 1, Fundamentals of Philosophy of Education. In this unit, we discuss about meaning and concept of philosophy of education, philosophy and education, relationship between philosophy and education, significance of philosophy of education, branches of philosophy, scope and functions of educational philosophy. First, let us see about meaning and the concept of philosophy of education. Philosophy contains concepts that are useful to education. Education derives many concepts from philosophy. Moreover, teaching learning methods and the educational processes based on philosophy. Similarly, the educational objectives, curriculum and approaches to evaluate the students' learning are also made on the basis of philosophy. The meaning of philosophy is a subject that gives solutions to the problems in nature of matter, knowledge, truth, aesthetic, sense, justice, values, mind and language. Philosophy include metaphysics, divine cosmology, ontology, axiology, ethics and aesthetics. Education and philosophy. Education derives its aims and teaching methods from general philosophy. Education and philosophy are closely related to each other. Moreover, education has been developed by the philosophical thoughts of educationists. According to Ross, the education is the active part of the philosophical beliefs and it is the practical approach to achieve the objectives of one's life. Similarly, educationist considers and education and philosophy as the two sides of same coin. So, education shows us the way for achieving our lives aims and philosophy is the foundation of education. The following are the gift of philosophy to education. Philosophy enables us to understand man's life, his activities, ideals, and his problems. It helps the educationist in making discussion, beliefs, and assumptions on teaching learning processes. It also helps the educationist to understand the intelligence behavior, skills related to subject matter of students, and to make learning methods for creating desirable behavioral change among the students. It helps us to give orientation of our thinkings related to education with the help of our practical life experiences and the needs of our lives. It helps the educationist to make an unified outcomes in our education system that enables us to give an uniform education to all students of different interests, of different family backgrounds, communities, and from different government systems. Then, philosophy of education. Meaning of philosophy of education. Educational philosophy or philosophy of education is the one that gives the foundation of making the aims, objectives, and curriculum of education. Definition of philosophy of education. Education is to define educational philosophy as below. First definition given by J.S. Ross. Educational philosophy is considered as the coin with the procedure to achieve the means of life on one side and the foundation of achieving the means on the other side of the coin. And a definition of John Dewey. Education philosophy is that part of the philosophy that makes education the basis of useful life. Then definition of Adams. Educational philosophy is the active side of philosophy. Then Fechner view on educational philosophy. The art of education cannot have a basis for educational activities. Then Gentile's view of educational philosophy. Education without philosophy cannot have the basis of educational activities. Then concept of philosophy of education. Educationist Newsom suggested that educational philosophy can be considered as the basis of education in the following three ways. First one is educational philosophy can be accepted as the integration of education and philosophy. It can be accepted as the broad view of education. Educational philosophy can be accepted as the general principle of education. Even though educational philosophy is accepted as the above, it is wise to accept as it as the foundation of education. Philosophers like Plato, Socrates expressed their educational aims, teaching methods, learning activities, approaches, curriculum, etc. on the basis of educational philosophy. Similarly, the Indian philosophers like Tagore, Gandhiji, and Vivekananda expressed their views on education on the basis of educational philosophy. The main objective of education is to bring desirable changes in the behavior of the students. In addition to this, the good performance, acting without any haste, and being patient, or the advices given to the students that are based on the educational philosophy. Similarly, educational philosophy is needed to make the foundation for a clear thinking that makes the base for making an education based on the individual needs of the students. So the concept of educational philosophy answer the following question. First question is strict discipline needed in teaching, or can the educational institution develop an attitude of freedom among the students? Then, should the educational institution control the natural instinct of the students in order to make them as stereotypes? Then, can we grow our children so that they can follow social traditions, or can we develop the individual freedom among our children, so that they are innovators? The following teaching approaches in our classrooms are based on the above concepts of educational philosophy. One is education in agreement with the social background, then informal approach to education, then formal system approach to education. First, education and philosophy. Philosophy is the foundation, and education can be considered as the building constructed on the foundation. Though the aim of philosophy is to search for the part played by man in the unimaginable mystery, the universe. The philosophy created education as the active side of philosophy. Moreover, educationists consider education as a form of philosophy that gives the procedure for the educational activities. Every practice of education is done taking philosophy as its background. Similarly, all activities that are based on the science that are supported by philosophical foundation. This is because of the reason that philosophy makes the system of education as a series of logical and analytical thoughts. Hence, education and philosophy are closely related to each other as given below. First one is philosophy and the objectives of education, curriculum and philosophy, philosophy and teachers, and philosophy and student discipline. First one is relationship between education and philosophy. Both philosophy and education are based on wisdom principles and questioning critically. In addition to these things, the nature of philosophy is to think intellectually. Similarly, education uses the thought of the philosophers. Generally, philosophy and education are closely related to each other because education uses the philosophical concepts such as how to teach the students, what is the basis of teaching, and how can learning be made to the students so that the the society may be developed. Moreover, philosophy contains the basic truth for our lives, or it has factors that can change our lives. Similarly, the nature of education is also based on the fundamental truth for our lives, and it changes our lives. The aim of philosophy or learning through experiences, disciplining oneself and concentrating one's thoughts. The aims of education are balancing children's mind, body, and soul for their harmonious development, and helping the students to lead a life of maturity with the skills and a happy and peaceful life. Since the aim of philosophy and education are the same, it can be concluded that philosophy and education are in close relationship with each other. Then, significance of philosophy of education. Educational philosophy helps the educationist to understand the educational process and to change them conveniently. It also helps to develop the contradictions and the negative points in the theory of education. Educationists develop their skills of questioning the theory of education by keeping educational philosophy as the foundation. The significance of philosophy of education can be described as follows. Firstly, the educational institutions gives the religious education, history, literature, and science education, and the objective of this education on the basis of philosophy of education. Secondly, the teacher prepares his aims of teaching plan, the teaching methods and the learning activities, keeping educational philosophy as the foundation. Thirdly, the curriculum is prepared based on the philosophy of education. For example, people who supports religious principle of educational philosophy. Similarly, the supporters of naturalism prepare their curriculum based on the learning activities for experiential learning from nature. The people who are interested in rights and duties of the members of the society use pragmatism to make a curriculum for teaching their students. Similarly, the teacher takes initiatives for teaching his students based on naturalism. In addition to the above, the teacher who respects human soul as supreme to all things in the world uses idealism to teach his students. Then then branches of philosophy. Philosophy is unique as a subject with respect to its methodology, nature, and its breadth of subject matter. The following are the branches of philosophy. First one is ethics. Ethics is also called as moral science. According to philosophy, ethics is called as moral philosophy. It gives moral concepts such as good act, legal act, and justice for creating moral principles. It also gives answers to what is good, what is evil, how can we form our good behavior, and how to make a balance between one's need with another needs. Subdivisions of ethics, that is political ethics, social ethics, legal ethics, medical ethics, and business ethics. Second one is logic. Logic is the subject that explains a topic such as thinking, cause and effect as its basis, and a series of discussion on a topic. It also evaluates how premises support the result of any discussion. Then metaphysics. Metaphysics is the subject that does research on the truth of an object, nature of an object, nature of mind and free will. Then epistemology. It makes researches on the nature of knowledge, its origin and scope. Moreover, it gives answers to the following questions. How can we know the world? Then what is knowledge? What is the nature of truth? Can we know anything beyond science? Then history of philosophy. It deals with the origin and development of philosophy as a subject. Then philosophy of mind. It answers the questions like what is mind and how does it interact with our body. Then philosophy of religion. Philosophy of religion deals with God and it makes us understand the concept of God. It also studies the religious belief, religious principles, religious discussion, and history of religion. Then philosophy of science. It deals with how science operates, the aim of science, and the relationship between society and science. It is divided into philosophy of natural science and philosophy of social science. Then philosophy of mathematics. It explains about mathematical symbols and the structure of mathematical theory. Then philosophy of arts. It studies the nature of arts, the performing arts, drawing, sculpture, and literature. Then philosophy of language. It deals with how languages are related to our thoughts. Then philosophy of education. It deals with how a student can be changed so that they learn well. It also deals with the method of teaching, the subjects to be taught, and the aims of education as determined by the society. Then philosophy of history. It deals with the historical research, writing history, the origin and the continuity of history, and the impact of historical happenings on current affairs. Um, Thank you.